Pierce Simpson, Complex News. I'm here with the iconic Spike Lee. Spike, how you feeling, sir?
Good. Where are you?
I'm in LA. I'm in Los Angeles.
All right. Look, loved LA. You guys are holding it down.
For
Black,
sure.
brown, red, and white. Holding it down.
Absolutely.
Love it. Love
Spike,
it.
That's kind of falls in line with my first question. During this whole time, a lot of people have been using your films over the past 30 years to either speak up for how they feel, show the injustices that are currently happening, and your films have provided a voice to the voiceless in many ways. So for you as a creator, how do you feel about that?
Might feel good, but you know what? I don't feel good that Eric Garner happened after Ray Raheem or King Floyd, you know? So sometimes I would like to have been wrong.
Right.
And said that we have progressed. Do the Right Thing came out July 30th, 1989. That's 31 years ago. And the same stuff is still happening.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And
ridiculous.
But to be honest, seeing your movie last night, I took some time to myself. It's been a tough week, but I watched the movie last night, and Spike, it really lifted up my spirits. It was something I needed.
You know, that's the best thing that someone can tell me. That's the best compliment I can get about this film, if it lifts their spirits. So I thank you.
For sure.
And let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What about the film lifted your spirits?
It reminded me of my homies and my homies that look like me, and that camaraderie amongst black men. There's something that you can't. Brotherhood, exactly. You haven't worked with Spike in almost 2 decades. He approaches you and says, I have this film, but you have to be a Trump supporter. Walk me through that mindset initially, because I'm sure you were kind of hesitant on it.
Yeah, it took me a minute. I tried to talk Spike out of it, frankly. I asked Spike, let Paul be a conservative, man. You know, why I gotta be a Trumpite, bro? Come on now. Let him be an arch conservative. Spike, we had a discussion, a respectful discussion. He thought about it for a couple of days, then reached back out to me and said, man, I really need Paul to be a Trump supporter. At that point, I said, give me the weekend. I think it was like a Friday. I said, give me the weekend, man. Give me a few days. I'll call you in the middle of next week. Let me read the script again. I read the script 2 more times, and I was able to get my head around. I was able to create for myself a scenario where I could believe that Paul would have arrived at casting that vote in 2016.
Right.
And in addition to that, frankly, there was so many other extraordinary components to this character that I knew after the 3rd time I read the script that this was the part I needed to play.
For sure. No, you did an incredible job. Jonathan, in some of your roles, I loved you in White Boy Rick, just how you were able to command the screen. But this role in particular, it seems like, I don't want to say subservient to Delroy, but that's your father. In many ways, you're trying to appease him and get his validation when it comes to the crux of the movie. What was it like when Spike approached you to play this role? What was your initial thoughts?
I looked at the meta of it, you know,
Right.
the type of, I had shot White Boy Rick before that. I was just coming back from Sundance. They just premiered Last Black Man in San Francisco. And I was beginning to really have some type of grasp on what type of work I wanted to do. And it seemed like the angels had dropped it into my lap. First thing he says to me after we have our talk, you know Delroy Lindo? I said, yes, sir, I know Delroy Lindo. He's gonna play your father. I said, okay. The next thing he asked me is, do you have a passport? I said, yes, sir, I have a passport. The 3rd thing he says is, read this book. He gives me this book called Bloods, which he had the entire cast read.
Right.
It sent my behind up back to Harlem. And I got a phone call later on, and we had dinner the next day.
You guys shot in Thailand. You used a lot of guns. Y'all did a great job. It seemed like y'all actually had training and artillery work. Isaiah, I saw you a couple of times ducking behind pillars and things like that. I was like, okay, this guy's pretty good. What was the training aspect like, or just the background in which it took to portray these roles?
We had 2 weeks of a boot camp, and actually maybe 3 weeks of a boot camp, and knowing a lot of the terminology of, especially of that time, and learning how to hold a gun, learning how to prepare to shoot. because they were real guns. There was just blanks in them, but they're still very dangerous. Also learning different signals that we had to portray while we were in the jungle because you couldn't speak. And so it was intense, but it was fun. And along with the history of Black men and also learning about Black culture that was in Vietnam, I was like Clark, I was very excited to get it started.
Yeah, when Spike sent it over to me, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. He was explaining it to me, and I said, yeah, okay, send it over to me. And then I was also leaving the country at the time, and he sent me a text. He said, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you read it? Did you read it? I said, yeah, okay, I'll get to it. But then when I read it, I was the person saying, yeah, I'll do it. I think this is great. You don't really know that much about this history and everything like that. And I went from, sort of casual to just desperate to be able to tell the story.
And I feel like this country has kind of minimized the Black American experience in the military. And, oftentimes when they try to denounce Colin Kaepernick, as we saw recently with Drew Brees,
I know.
They bring into the military aspect. But like you mentioned in the film, 33% of the troops in Vietnam were African American when we only
during the height of the Vietnam War.
Exactly, when we only represented 11% of the population.
But another point, though, as you see in the film, we go to our brother Crispus Attucks,
right?
The first person to die for this country in the Revolutionary War. At the Boston Massacre was a Black man, Crispus Attucks. So for anybody to say that we as a people aren't patriotic,
right.
We've been dying from the get for this country, and still dying,
right?
And so Kaepernick is looking really, really good right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, me and you with him, but the people, I think whole thing has changed people's mind.
Of course.
In that, in no way, shape, or form was this about disgracing the flag. Come on now.
Yeah, it was never that.
That's what they do sometimes. They turn the narrative.
Exactly.
That's what that's what Agent Orange did. Yeah. He tried to make kneeling an unpatriotic act. But in my opinion, you cannot be more patriotic in this country when you speak out against truth.
Exactly.
And they had that happen. I know you want to ask me questions, but during the Vietnam War, the first thing they would say to somebody was the Vietnam War, America, love it or leave it.
Right.
We've been here since we were brought here since 1619.
Exactly.
We built this. So we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
We built it. Coupled with the stealing of the land from the Native people and genocide. That is the foundation of the United States of America.
For sure. And I think you did a great job of highlighting that in this film, highlighting the systemic oppression that we might have felt even from the veterans. So Spike, I really appreciate that. And I hate to kind of switch it from the movie, but your beloved New York Knicks have yet to make a statement about Black Lives Matter.
He came out with the weak one after that.
He came out with a weak one. Spike, does that affect your fan approach with the New York Knicks at all? Because honestly, people associate.
Here's the thing, though, and thank you for the question. I was rolling with the Knicks when I was 8-9 years old, way before Dolan was handed the team by his father.
Right.
So it's not hard for me to delineate, to make the difference between ownership and my team.
Right.
My beloved orange and blue. So there's nothing he can do to me that's gonna curtail my love of the Knicks.
Yes.
It's not my ownership is not my team.
It seems that as we continue to preach and amplify that Black Lives Matter, what are your guys' thoughts on the current situation, the current movement, and what are some of the thoughts you'd like to share with the audience?
Don't burn down your own part of town, number one. Number two, take all of that energy, get yourself organized and strategize, and then mobilize and do the right thing. Get out there and do it right. Right? Be prepared. Have your back covered too at the same time. And don't take no shit.
I say take all of that energy into November.
Yeah.
I don't care who you vote for. Just take that energy into November. But the way I see people out there participating is the way we should be participating on who we have to lead us. And I think if we do that, we'll come out very well in November.